Alright, so today we're going to be doing some pruning on the fruit trees. Some of my fruit trees, not all of them, I have a lot of them. These are the tools we're going to use today. We're going to use bypass pruners, the orange handle bypass pruners, and bypass loppers. And I'll go over what the bypass actually means. So the first thing I like to do when I go use anything that cuts or shapes or anything like that is I like to sharpen it. Give it a quick sharpen. I'm just using a round file that I use from my chainsaw. If you have a sharpening stone, you'd be better off with a sharpening stone, but I didn't have one. So I'll use a round file. It works okay. A lot better than using a dull tool. You're also going to need some sanitizer. I just use 70% alcohol, rubbing alcohol. We do have to sanitize the equipment, the tools I should say, before each cut and in between cuts on different trees, so that in the event that you have a tree that has a disease, you won't be transmitting it from one tree to the next and infecting your whole orchard or whatever it is that you're trying to trim. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing, liking. It would help me out my channel. I would appreciate it. Here we have a Pacific Giant Asian pear that I bought probably about 4 years ago. 3-4 years ago. I bought it, it was a couple years old. So it's still a relatively young tree. Now this bottom branch, I'm going to take it off because it just doesn't look good. You never prune a new tree that you plant, leave it in the ground for 2 years, at least, before you start pruning anything, cutting anything off. So I left that bottom branch just so it could help it establish its roots. You're going to get rid of all the dead, diseased branches first. Just go through the whole tree. Anything that's dead, diseased, dry it up. Just take it out. Just cut it out right to the main branch where it comes from, as close as you can. Then you're going to next you're going to look for any branches that are crossing one another, like this X here. If you leave that, eventually the wind will rub the two branches together and cut a hole through the bark, and you'll have a disease problem there. So get rid of that. As you can see, I'm all done with the Asian pear. Now on to the peach tree. I have all different types of fruit here. We'll just do a few today because there's too many to do today. I'll just do a few at a time. So again, don't forget, sanitize your tools when you're going from one tree to the other, so we don't, in case that Asian pear did have some type of disease, I wouldn't pass it on to the peach. This is a very old peach tree. It's probably close to getting close to 30 years old, so it's starting to show a little bit of its age. But again, I just do the same exact thing. Dead, diseased, dried up branches, just cut them all off, and then I'll go in back and I'll make some top cuts just to control the size of the tree so it doesn't get too big. As you can see here, I'm cutting the top off because it's getting too tall. And, to make the shape of it, peach trees, I usually like to use a bowl type shape where I take all the branches from the inside and kind of leave it. You notice the inside of the peach tree, it's completely empty. This branch here is dead. So I'm going to verify it by cutting this relatively new branch, and it's completely dried out. So this branch is going to have to be removed all the way back to wherever it connects.
Looks like it's dead.
Connects to the main trunk of the tree. Good way to check if you think something might be dead is just scrape get something sharp and scrape the bark off of it in one spot. If you keep scraping and all you get is brown, then that means that branch is dead. So this is definitely dead. This branch has to be removed. I'm going to cut it right there with a bow saw. But I'm going to keep going. I'll leave that for last. I'm going to keep going and trim the tree back. Any branches that are pointing towards the inside of the tree, I cut off. You can see here I cut this off. This branch was dead last year. I cut it off, and it looks like we have something boring a hole through it. Insects. So this peach tree is definitely not in good shape anymore. I'm going to save one of these two new branches here. I'm going to probably save this one here, cut the top off because it's too high, and I'm going to remove the other one. Like I said, any branches that point in, I cut them out. You want a branches pointing out or sideways on a peach. I'm going to remove this newer branch and keep the other one. So maybe next year, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully this new branch that I left will take over, and we can use that. And we can keep using, keep getting fruit from this tree. This tree does give quite a bit of fruit. Like I said, that's my rule of thumb. Anything that's pointing in towards the center of the tree, I cut. And I just top off the tree. And stand back, and look at it. And, shape it the way you want. Make it look the way you want it to look. I'm gonna cut this dead branch off. There's also another branch on the opposite side that you can't see from this shot. It actually broke off last year because I had so much fruit on this tree that it snapped the branch off on the opposite side there. And I didn't cut it off at the time, but I'm going to remove that today as well so we don't get any disease in there. That's the piece that I get left off. I didn't cut it off last year. There was so many peaches on that one branch that it just snapped it. So I'm going to remove that stub, that little 8-inch piece that was left over. Get rid of it so we don't get disease in there. I actually did have some insect damage already going on there, so the insects were already attacking it. Which is not good. We don't want insects getting in there. The tree will destroy it. We'll probably should get a few more years out of this peach, and then might have to cut it down and put a new tree in there. I'm going to cut this back a little bit more. I left a little bit sticking out. I'm going to cut it a little bit closer to that vertical branch. It's sticking out a little bit too much. I mean, I could leave it like that. It's okay, but I'm going to cut it back just a little bit more. This is the side that snapped off last year. You can see it's already turning brown. The insects were already in there eating it, but this should save the tree by doing this. If I left it, both of them, eventually the insects would definitely get in there and rot the tree out, kill the tree from inside out, eat the tree up. So that's, I think I'm done. Looks good. We're going to move over to the grapes next. We don't have a vineyard here. We just grow grapes so we can pick grapes off the vine and eat them in the summertime. I also have a Bartlett pear that needs to be pruned. Here you see my fig trees. I have two different varieties of figs. On this side of the house, I actually have another variety on the other side as well. Figs are not hardy in this area, so you have to protect them in the winter if you want to get any fruit. You can see the left one actually collapsed from all the snow we had this winter. It was a bad winter. There's different ways to prune grapes, and it depends on the variety. I don't get too crazy with it. I just usually I'll just cut it back, leave some spurs, a couple of spurs here and there. You notice this grapevine is also pretty old, and it's starting to show a little bit of a age. It's actually dried up. You can see, like again, if you're not sure if something's alive, just scratch the bark up a little bit with something sharp. You can see that's all brown. That's dead. So get rid of that. I'm going to cut it back again, but just for now, I'm just going to cut it there. I'm going to get rid of most of this growth from last year. Grapes, you don't cut them. Fruit trees, you never want to remove more than 30% of the tree at a time, or 1/3 of the tree at a time. Grapes, however, you do have to prune back very, very hard. Grapes grow on new growth, all new growth. So we want to cut it back. You can see there I checked. I have this little branch that came out of a spur last year. I wasn't sure if it was how far back the main cane was still alive. So I scraped it a little bit, found the green. And I know it's up to that point, it's still alive, so I'm going to remove from that point on. And everything from that point back, I'm going to save. I could have saved these canes and just basically cut the main cane right there and just ran those two across, or at least one of those across. But I'm going to try cutting it the spur method one more year. And when we say spur, what it is you cut back these little branches that come off of the main cane, and you leave two little buds sticking out. Like I said, I could have cut that right there, and then just used these two, and just got rid of everything else. But I'm going to try it one more year. Like I said, we're not a vineyard. It's not that important to us. We just like to have a couple of fresh grapes in the summertime to eat. So I'm just going to clean this all up, get rid of most of this, just leave a couple of canes, a couple of spurs here and there. This spur up top, I'm going to remove it. There's like 3 on one here. I'm just going to take that right off. Grapes are pretty aggressive. They grow quite a bit in 1 year, so you do have to cut them back pretty hard, or else you'll have nothing but foliage. You'll have a big mess, just all foliage everywhere. You can see this is all new growth, all this thin stuff. This is all from last year. None of this was here a year ago. This is all new growth you see here. So I'm going to cut it back to the second 1 or 2 spurs, 1 or 2 buds on each spur. I'll leave maybe 2 spurs on each main cane. Cut everything else out, cut everything else back. Clean it all up. It's kind of hard to mess up grapes. I mean, even if you made even if you did a poor job of pruning, you should still get a couple of grapes. You should still get a few handful of grapes. Grapes are pretty forgiving. These are black. These are dark grapes. I don't remember the varieties. I had about 4 different ones. I got rid of some of them. I kept this one. This one's pretty tasty. They're dark grapes. They're pretty tasty. And then I have the white one. I have this other white one on the other side, on the left side here. That's very good as well. So I'll finish cleaning this all up here. Get rid of all this stuff. Now this is the white side. This is the white grapes. So I have 2 vines. Dark ones on the right, and this one here in the middle. I get the bilateral. I have 2 wires. I grow them on 2 wires. I know most people tell you to grow on 1 wire. I grow on the top wire. I use the top wire and the lower wire. Like I said, we're not relying on grapes to make wine or anything like that. It's just for a treat in the summertime. You notice those 2 spurs right there I left sticking out? This is an old spur. I'm going to get rid of it. It's not really doing all that much for me. I ended up cutting most of this all the way back. I just kept basically those 2 first spurs that I first cut with the 2 buds. All of the rest of the stuff basically came out. Just basically go around, just cut everything in pieces that you don't want, and take it out piece by piece. Okay, I'm doing this with one hand. I'm holding the camera with the other, so. As you can see here, there was an old cane in the back. I'm going to remove it because it was kind of dried up. I didn't like the look of it. I'm just going to remove that cane, and I'm going to use this cane right here in front here as the new cane. This is another way of doing it. Some people will do it this way. They'll just cut everything and just keep 2 canes. I'm going to use this one right here. I'm going to install this one back on the wire. I tie them off later. Later on I'll come by and I'll put some cloth ties on it. But for now, I just wrap it around the wire. It'll stay. So that's another way of doing it. You can cut everything off and just leave a couple of canes, 1 for each wire. I've done that in the past. It does work. Works fine, actually. Like I said, it's kind of hard to mess up. I mean, grapes are pretty forgiving. That's it. That's all done. That's all I'm doing. You can see it's all cleaned up. We'll have plenty of grapes. I'll show you the grapes in the summertime. Okay, now we're going to start going after the botlip pear. The first thing, like I said, dead, diseased. Get rid of all the dead, diseased. Also in pears, you'll find a lot of water spouts, some people call them suckers. They're little branches that pop out from the main trunk. You want to cut these all the way back as tight as you can to the main trunk so they don't re-sprout again. These are no good. These take all the strength from the tree. So the fruit will be bad if you leave all these. So you got to remove all these little tiny things. You don't need any of these. So when you're all done remove any pears. You want to remove any vertical branches as well. When you're all done pruning them, this is what your individual branches should all look like. You can see there has like a little pointy things. Those are the leaves, and you see this kind of round oval looking thing. Those are the actual pears, the actual blossoms. Those will pop open with a bunch of white flowers. It looks pretty nice. And those are where we want the bees to come and pollinate. And those are where we're going to get our pears. So if you see these, don't cut these off because you're going to cut all the pears off. Leave these on. Branches that don't have any of these, you can remove them. There's no pears anyway. Please like and subscribe the video. It helps me out. I appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.